Hey guys, what's up? This is Headcase on these sticks, playing a little Duels of the Planeswalkers 2014. This is my first deck tech ever for Magic 2014, so that's pretty exciting. And I said at the end of the week I was going to let you know if this is in fact my new favorite mono black deck ever in Duels, and I'm gonna say that yes, it is. Might be kind of controversial for the people that liked Obedient Dead in 2013, but this deck is way more consistent. It's a lot of fun to play. It's just more fun to play. That's what it comes down to. And actually, guys, going through this real quick, this is actually, I kept it at the exact same way I initially built it. So I'm going to say that this is the best way to run Gravecrawlers in my opinion. So if you want some proof, I guess go back and look at my other games for this week. I didn't cut any games out, so every time I played Deadwalkers this week, it was for the deck testing. And so anyway, we're going to start it off with Gravecrawler. Still run all three of these guys. They're great. One of the best cards in the deck. Diregraph Ghoul. Pretty good. This is what you're going to be wanting to do turn one if you don't have Gravecrawler in your hand. Quest for the Gravelord. One of the cards that I was playtesting, but every time I had it, I liked it. So what can you say? Vampiric Tutor. Okay. Final thoughts on Vampiric Tutor. You don't want to cast this fairly early on. This is your late game bomb finder. If you need to make a better presence on the board, you go get Grave Titan. If you have to stabilize and kill a creature, you go get Corrupt. If you have to, or just win off Corrupt. So usually this card's getting Grave Titan or Corrupt. I wouldn't use it to go get any of the lords. I think it's really just for the bombs. Okay, or maybe removal. You know, if something's really in dire need to get removed, you could also use it for that. So yeah, those three things is about the only thing I'm going to be getting with Vampiric Tutor, in my opinion. Bloodghast, it sucks so bad that Vampire Spirit does not say zombie, but I still think he's worth it. You want to be aggressive. A 2/1 for 2 mana, still has 2 in the front. You can't block. That's not a big deal because you're going to be wanting to be swinging in on your aggressive starts anyway. And the landfall ability is really good. I mean, the thing has haste if he has 10 or less life. He's recurring. He's like a shitty Gravecrawler, a much shittier Gravecrawler. But Gravecrawler's really good. So, in this deck, I should say he's a shitty Gravecrawler. And outside of this deck, he's really, just in Magic in general, he's still really good. So I ran him. I realized that this could be also considered controversial, but I really like him. So, Butcher Ghoul. At first, I didn't think I was going to be liking this card being cast much, but he does his stuff. I really like him. Fleshbag Marauder, when you have to sack. Let me go over to that card real quick. Fleshbag Marauder, he's really cool that Fleshbag Marauder might actually stick around, the ugly bastard, and you just sack your Butcher Ghoul with Undying, and he comes back even stronger, and they lose a creature. I mean, that is value. You buff a creature, you lay a creature, and you kill a creature. So that's pretty good. Anyway, and he gets buffed because he's a zombie, so that's good. He's a good chump that turns into a threat, if you want to think of it like that, if it makes you feel better. Doomblade, it's pretty good. It's terrible. Like, the only decks that this deck has problems with is the Mirror, which is, I guess, kind of obvious, but Doomblades are just completely dead cards in the Mirror. That kind of sucks, but against everything else, it just says destroy anything that you put down. Any creature, anyway. Destroy target non-black creature. It's really good. Most of the creatures in the format are not black. So, like I said, in the Mirror, that card kind of sucks, but that's obvious, right? It's Doomblade. You can't have a 2-mana instant speed removal, hard removal, without a drawback. And non-black is not that big of a drawback. Run all three of them. They're really good. Sign in Blood, beauty. Very good card. You gotta love it. It refills your hands. It helps you keep light mana hands because you can draw into more with Sign in Blood. They're really crucial. Sign in Blood is just a really good card, especially if you run it in mono black, because that double black symbol up there doesn't matter. Run both of them. The card's awesome. Lord of the Undead. remember in the Mirror that says other zombie creatures get +1/+1. It's happened to me, not on camera I don't think, but it's happened to me where I was just like, wait, what happened? Oh, this is other zombie creatures, not other zombie creatures you control. Don't forget that. It makes the Mirror match kind of even more janky. So if you're not playing the Mirror, though, this card's just an awesome Lord. And the ability that this card has tacked onto it is phenomenal. If you return a zombie card and that zombie card says draw off messenger, you're super happy. So the ability is really nice. You're not going to be swinging with him much, but he's a lord with an awesome ability, so you got to run him. Draw off messenger. These two cards are in contention for the best 3 drops in the deck. Or, I mean, even Death Baron's really good. I don't know. I mean, all of these cards are very good, depending on the situation and, of course, which ones you have in your hand. Your 3 drops are drop dead sexy, and it just depends on the situation which ones you're going to want to be dropping. Remember, he comes into the battlefield tapped, so if you have both of these cards in your hand, I like to lay the messenger first. That way, he comes into the battlefield tapped, and when he wants to start swinging, he's going to get bigger when you lay your Lord of the Undead pre-combat. So draw off's messenger, obviously good. It sucks if they Pillar of Flame it because he gets exiled and he doesn't come back, but either way, when you think about it, this is a 3 mana for 4 life. Like, not really guaranteed, but pretty much guaranteed. And then all of a sudden, what? I get a 3/2 and then a 4/3? Oh, he comes to battlefield tap. That balances it. Psych. This card's awesome. I love it. Okay, Death Baron. Look at this beast. He's a zombie wizard. Skeleton creatures you control and other zombie creatures you control get +1/+1 and have death touch. Ignore that skeleton part. There are no skeletons in the build. So zombie creatures get +1/+1. Hallelujah. They gave us another lord. And this one's even, like, not even cooler, but this one also has a cool secondary ability. This thing, they get +1/+1 and have death touch. And that's crucial, and a lot of people honestly forget that you're playing against. Forget that Death Baron gives your creatures death touch. I know I've forgotten when I've played the mirror. So anyway, Fleshbag Marauder can set up some sweet plays. It's pretty good when we have Machias out because your creatures have Undying, so it doesn't really matter that you're sacking your creature. And it also, as I said before, works really good with your Butcher Ghouls. It's more removal for the deck, and it's a 3/1. If it can hang back, it's a 3/1 for 3, which, you know, isn't that good. But don't be afraid to cast him and then sack something else, like your Grave Crawlers even. Sack your Grave Crawlers because you can just cast them the next turn, you know? Anyway, okay, Liliana's Reaver. I still have not been able to cast this and connect with it, but I know it's good. It's a 4 mana 4/3 with Death Touch, okay? You can stop right there and it would be worth running, and it's a zombie, okay? So stop it right there. Good enough to run, but then it also has this ability. Two things that are really good. Deals combat to a player. That player discards a card, and you put a 2/2 black zombie creature on the battlefield tapped. Okay, that is super card advantage. You're going to be winning the card advantage battle, the wars of attrition. You're going to be winning, maybe not the attrition wars because this guy has to connect. But anyway, you're going to get a lot of card advantage if this guy gets in. It just seems like he's worth it. All right, once again, Avatar Ghoul. I have not been able to play test with him too much, but he's going to be good in the other against the other aggro decks. You lay him, and man, they're just shut down if they don't have a way to remove him. And he's a zombie, so enough said. Undead War Chief, he's the best lord in your deck because +2/+1 zombie creatures you control get +2/+1. That is just insanely good. And he's a 1/1, but guess what? That's zombie creatures you control, not zombie creatures other than him. So he comes down as a 3/2. Almost good math there. And I always forget about that. I still forget about his first ability. Zombie spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That becomes pretty relevant. It allows you to dump your whole hand and put a lot of power on the board. Run both of them. So Grave Pact is awesome. It works good with all of your undead creatures. It works good with Machias, which gives all your creatures Undying. It makes it really hard for your opponent to attack into your shitty creatures because then you can just chump and then it wipes their whole side, you know. So if you're ever, it helps you even out games, and it helps games get stalled until you can find a way to come back. Speaking of coming back, Tendrils of Corruption. I should say, no, we're still not done with our 4 drops, are we? Okay, so Tendrils of Corruption is more of the mono black control side of this black pile. It turns games into unwinnable to dominating. So I mean, if that's not enough to do it, then if that's not enough to cast this guy, to play this guy, I don't know what is. I think you usually play this for 4 with 4 swamps under your control. I can't remember a time, maybe even I did it this week, but where I did it for more than 4, but still 4 is really good. Instant speed removal that gains you life. So, and that, that's really good. Okay, Mutilate. This card's good for obvious reasons. The art scares the shit out of me. This is just creepy. The guy's skin starts falling off of his face. It falls off his face. I'm going to read this flavor text I never have before. It's only torture if you're strong enough to survive. Oh, it's only torture if you're strong enough to survive. Otherwise, it's a simple, gruesome death. I'm happy with either outcome. Liliana Succubus. That is the most evil thing she's ever said I've ever read. So, okay. Yeah, that's creepy. So I guess it's like this black just funk that comes around him and melts their face off. So that guy's not having a good time in the art, and the guy right behind him is about to have the same fate. And then the third guy's like, oh shit, why did I follow these drunk assholes into this black funk? So anyway, Mutilate. All creatures get -1/-1 until the end of turn for each swamp you play. Guess what? You're playing only swamps. So if you lay this on curve, it's -4/-4 to everything, which is usually good enough to wipe the entire board. And it's a good, you know, a lot of times you're going to have a lot of these early creatures still out, but if you have Mutilate in your hand and things get out of control, you know, you're like, I say you just close the valve on them. You know what? Mutilate, wipe the whole side, get it all, make things go back to square one. So goodbye Champion of the Parish and all your little shitty 1/1s that are buffed by Honor the Pure. And then you lay a zombie and all of a sudden you're getting your Gravecrawlers back that you killed also. So, and your Bloodghast. It makes your Bloodghast a little bit better running the Mutilate. So, consuming Vapors, even more removal, and it gains you life. It's like a worse Tendrils of Corruption, but you could say worse. I think it's probably worse, but it's sorcery speed, but it guarantees you to kill something. You can't target it, so... Alright, so now that we're out of our 4-drops, I'll tell you, I can now talk about the worst part of this deck. There are 9 4-drops, which means once you get to turn 4, you're going to have 2 things in your hand, and you're going to be like, oh, this is kind of awkward. I don't really want 2 things in my hand. But they're so powerful that just imagine that a couple of these are 5-drops, okay? Just squint really hard and say that costs 5, so because there are 0 5-drops in this deck, so... This also helps out with Vampiric Tutor. On turn 5, you can lay something that costs 4 mana and then have Vampiric Tutor open to go get your bombs at 6. You see what I mean? So you lay your land for your 5th turn, say everything's on curve, and you cast one of your 9 4-drops that you probably have in your hand, and you have 1 card. I mean, you have maybe no cards left in hand except Vampiric Tutor, but you have 1 mana open. You Vampiric Tutor and go get Grave Titan, or really you only Vampiric Tutor probably for Grave Titan or Corrupt, one of the 2. I don't think I've ever Vampiric Tutored for either one of these guys, but yeah, then you go right into your 6-drop the next turn. I mean, when you think about it, well, I guess not the next turn because then you wouldn't have 6 mana on the field. Anyway, it helps you get the bombs that you want when you're on the turns with janky mana. Maybe I'm just trying to defend Vampiric Tutor a little bit more, but anyway, so there are no 5-drops, but the 6-drops kind of make up for it. Look at that Grave Titan. This card is amazing, amazing, amazing. 6 mana for a 6/6. Done deal. I'm running them, right? Death Touch. Okay, even better. Whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, put 2/2/2 black zombie creatures tokens onto the battlefield. Okay, that is awesome. Talk about you get right back in there. I don't even care if I'm swinging the Grave Titan into certain death. Guess what? You got 4 2/2 black zombie creature tokens on, and you remove their creature because this guy has Death Touch, or like their whole side if they decide to like super chump block him. Usually when you cast Grave Titan, I've noticed with this deck is you're already like way in the lead, so maybe he's win more, but he's so good you have to run him. I mean, it helps you stabilize against aggressive decks that removed all of your shit, and then they have a sweet board presence because you lay this 6/6 down, and that pretty much kills anything an aggro deck's going to be swinging in with. Of course, especially since it has Death Touch, but he can block the biggest thing and usually survive. Plus, those 2/2s are usually going to be able to block 2 other things and kill them too. So it really just kind of shuts down aggro. Unless you're really far behind, it's going to turn the game into your and allow you to stabilize and turn the game in your favor eventually. So take a little sip of water since I'm getting all squealy. I'm not even taking breaths, I don't think. I don't know why I'm rushing through this, but I get excited, I guess. Mikaeus the Unhallowed. Alright, the white version. He's a little white weenie, right? And helps out the white weenie deck. And then ZOMG, what happened to Mikaeus when he died? He turned black. He hates humans now. He's a zombie cleric. So, He has a target on his forehead. Surprisingly, he didn't die that much this week, but he's really fragile. 5/5 is out of the reach of burn, but, you know, he's got a target on his forehead. You've got to kill him. But his effect has so much synergy with this deck that it absolutely is worth running him. He has Intimidate. Don't forget about that. You're like, oh, well, it's a Lord, and I can't swing in with him. Yeah, you can, because he has Intimidate. So only black creatures can block him. So whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. Okay, this wrecks Avacyn's Glory. Okay, and then, but his last one is by far his best ability, I think. Other non-human creatures you control, you don't have any humans in this deck. Okay, even what's his deck? Bloodghast, right? What is it? Bloodghast. Yeah, Bloodghast. Even Bloodghast isn't a human. Okay, he's a vampire. So there's one. Thank God he's a vampire in that case. So other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Undying. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. It really is. He's a final Lord in this deck, and it gives all your creatures Undying. Just an absolutely incredible ability. I like him. I run him. He might be semi-controversial, but we'll talk about the controversial cards and like probably the additions that you might want to run if you don't like my build and you want to make a couple tweaks. All right, Nightmare. In contention for the worst card in the deck, believe it or not. Every time I've seen him, I haven't liked him, but that's okay because he's like the only card in the deck that I don't like. And usually I'm scrounging for playables in Duels of Planeswalkers because, you know, you can't make the best decks out of the cards that they give you. But with this deck, I actually am like finding it hard to cut cards. And so for me to say a 6 mana guaranteed 6/6 with fire that's only going to get bigger, to say that's the worst card in my deck is saying a whole lot. So don't tutor for them unless you're like really hurting. I guess if you're against a flyer that's smaller than Nightmare, but even then I would go get removal instead of Nightmare. But the artwork's sweet. It's a really powerful creature. It's just every time I see him, I don't like him. But he's powerful enough to run. Say I run him over, you know what, Black Cat? You know, come on, guys. So it's a little bit more on the mono black control side playing a creature like this. So I still kept in 2 corrupts, mainly because every time I have it, I basically win the game. And so I basically run 3 of these because I have Vampiric Tutor too. I'm tutoring for corrupt a lot. Like I said in the beginning, when I was talking about Vampiric Tutor, I'm either Vampiric Tutoring for Grave Titan or Vampiric Tutoring for corrupt because they both help me in specific situations. Corrupt helps me stabilize on my life total, doesn't really help me stabilize the board, and can just get me a win right there on the spot because it's 6 damage minimum when you cast him. And I've already talked about Grave Titan, you know, against aggro decks when you need to stabilize the board. But he's going to help you stabilize your life total and remove a single creature, or he's just going to help you stabilize on your life total by taking a chunk out of theirs and giving it to you. I mean, the card's just really good. I run both of them, and I still tutor for them, okay? Here we go. There's the deck right there. I've had a lot of success with it. I haven't lost on camera this week with it, and the good thing about this deck is you feel like you play the same game every time because it's so consistent. I'm gonna stop doing that because it's probably making y'all sick. Like head case, you're making me dizzy. So I'm gonna take a sip of water and talk about the controversies. The controversies and maybe what you can run in place of them. So you're saying to yourself, head case, I don't like Vampiric Tutor, I don't like Bloodghast, and I don't like Quest for the Gravelord, okay? Well, have I got something for you. I guess all 5 of these cards right here, in your 3 Black Cats and your 2 Walking Corpses, they can be ran in the deck. But I feel like if you want to put them in, you need to be cutting some of your top end out because you're getting into a more aggro version by doing that. So if you want to cut Quest for the Gravelord and Vampiric Tutor, I would not cut Bloodghast, and I would run 2 of probably the Walking Corpses, I guess. I'm not a big fan of Black Cat. So any combination of Black Cats and Walking Corpses for these 2 guys right here. However, if you cut these 2 cards, you might want to look at cutting all of your late game. Like definitely the 2 Corrupts and the Nightmare. And even the Macaeus. Well, no, the Macaeus I guess is even better like that. But I would cut these 3 and maybe just run, if you want to cut those 3, the Gravelord and the Tutor, then you're looking at a more aggro deck, and I would run all 5 of these cards. So you can do it if you want. It might be a similarly powerful deck. It might be even better, but I just hate Black Cat, so I'm not running it. And I don't like 2/2s that are super vanilla, even though, I mean, he's a bear, and bears are good in this format, and he can get buffed. I get that. So if you don't like these 2 cards, like I said, run all 5 of these and cut your top end out. If you don't like Bloodghast, too bad, run them. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't like Bloodghast, just throw in one of these guys, I guess. If you really don't like it, he doesn't say zombies, so I get it if you don't want to run them. If you don't want to run them, then run a 2/2 instead of the 2/1, and it's a zombie. So you can run that. I'm fine with it. I think that's it. Grim Return, you might be looking at it, and man, I'm just getting scratchy on my throat. It's instant speed. You might be thinking, man, I can see a use for this card. No, there is no use for this card. It's so expensive. Like, what are you going to do on your turn? Do nothing? Or you have 5 mana and you're going to Blade his best creature and then Grim Return it? You know, it's just not good. You're never going to find a good time to cast it. It's going to be kind of like Vampiric Tutor, which is in the deck. But he tutors things. This card is just it's never going to be good for you. You're going to, most of the time, be wanting to use up all your mana casting Lords and Zombies. You're not going to be wanting to cast this card ever. Okay, Death Cloud. It can be a good finisher, but why not just run Corrupt? You know? What do you want to play this for? 5? So you lose 2, y'all both lose 2 life, you both discard 2 cards, and you both sacrifice 2 creatures and 2 lands? I don't know. Like, I don't like things that I just can't think of a time when this would be beneficial to me. I don't get it. I hate it. I can see how some people would like it as a finisher, but I have Corrupts for my finisher, so I don't like it. Avatar Ghoul, ugh. You know, I'm not even sure about the first one, honestly. So I don't think I would put any more 4-drops in. So if you want to add Avatar Ghoul, if you feel like you're losing a lot to aggro, then I don't know, cut the Reaver. I just don't say I don't say run 2 of these. I might not even run one of them profitably. Okay, Endless Ranks of the Dead. A lot of people like this card for the wrong reasons. It's not very good. They like it because they think it's good. I guess that's the wrong reason they think it's good. But it's so slow and like 4 mana, and it might not even like start mattering until a couple turns later. I realize that in attrition matches where you're like stalled out and you're like, oh man, how am I going to get out of this one? You top deck Endless Ranks of the Dead and you just proceed to make a billion zombies and eventually take the game over. I understand that, but for one, it's a 4-drop. You already have 9 4-drops in my build if you choose to run it. I mean, if you really like it, okay, throw this in the aggro version if you want to. Even in the aggro version, when I say aggro version, we're talking about the 5 cards earlier, running all 5 of those Black Cats and the 2 Walking Corpses, or 3 of the Black Cats and the 2 Walking Corpses in place of Quest for the Gravelord, Vampiric Tutor, and those 3 on the top end. If you make those 5 substitutions, then this card goes up in value. It becomes a little bit better. It's still not worth running, though. I don't think you should run it. I really don't. Okay, it's a fun card. So if you're doing it, if you want to have a little bit more fun with this deck and not take it so seriously, then run Endless Ranks of the Dead and have a blast bashing in with 100,000 zombies. That's always fun. Veilborn Ghoul, you're bad, man. You're kind of bad. You're a zombie, so you're a little bit better than you were in Obedient Dead. But 5 mana, can't block. He's got 4 in the front, which is pretty cool. Oh, I'm so punny today. So, accidental pun there. Which is pretty cool. But, yeah, did I say he has recursion? Yeah, he's got recursion if you keep back a swamp. So, I don't know. I don't think he's worth running. He is a 5-drop, so that's kind of interesting if you're looking for 5 drops. But I'll talk about that here in a second. I don't think he's good enough to run. He dies and he can't block. He dies really easy and he can't block. So I'm over it. Don't like him. Farbog Boneflinger. I think I like Farbog better than I like old Veilborn Ghoul. He's a zombie. 5 mana, -2/-2 is probably going to kill something. But I don't know, man. 5 mana for a 2/2 just doesn't seem worth it. Yeah, so I don't run that guy because of that. Okay, here we go. This is more controversial because Cruel Revival on the front end, it looks like it's really good when you first read it. Destroy target non-zombie creature. Most creatures are non-zombies. And it can't be regenerated. Okay, Cudgel Troll, sorry about you. Return up to 1 target zombie card from your graveyard to your hand. It just seems like turbo value, right? I spend 1 card, I kill your creature, and I get back a creature to my hand. And I agree, it is really good. If you want to run, say, a couple of them, then cut a couple 4-drops. Because like I said, it's a little awkward that there's so many 4-drops in this deck. Like, for instance, I don't know, I could see you cutting 2 Liliana Reavers. That would take you down to 20 creatures. Which is still okay. So, yeah, if you want to cut them, I mean, if you want to run these, I would cut these 2 cards and run 2 of them. I wouldn't run all 4 of these. They're 5 mana removal. It's really expensive. It is instant speed, and it can get you back in the game. I just felt like it was too expensive. But, yeah, I think this is the most controversial. I don't know if I've already said that. I hope I haven't. But running 2 of these, not running at least 2, at least 2 of these, I would say, is the most controversial non-include. Yeah, I'm going to say it is the most controversial non-include. So, I'm not even sure if I want to run 2 Nightmares, so I definitely don't. I mean, 1 Nightmare, so I definitely don't want to be running 2. Zombie Apocalypse. It's okay. It destroys Avacyn's Glory. But besides that, it costs 6 mana. You're kind of an aggro deck anyway, so you're getting into mono black control, and it's more of an aggro deck than it is mono black control. But yeah, what happens if it does nothing? You pay 6 mana. If say you're playing Slivers, you pay 6 mana to return a Gravecrawler and a Lord of the Undead to the battlefield. Tapped. And so I mean, it's not even close to playable, I don't think. So Grave Betrayal cost $1 million, but let's give it a shot. Since we're kind of mono black control, maybe we can run a 7 mana spell. We are running 24 lands, so whenever a creature you don't control dies, return to the battlefield under control with an additional +1/+1 counter until the beginning of the extend step. Creature is black zombie in addition to its other color. Yeah, it's just not. It's cool. I can see you just getting like wrecked in the mirror against it, maybe. But no, I don't even see it. I think it's just too expensive, and you should have already won when you're able to throw this down. And if you haven't won, then you should be tutoring up for Corrupt to win very soon. And then Rise of the Dark Realms, the artwork is badass. That is so cool, but she's just like crowd surfing on a bunch of zombies. That's badass. So it costs 9 mana. Put all creature cards from all graveyards on the battlefield under your control. The ability is really sweet, and when you're at 9 mana, a lot of things are probably dead, but if you're at 9 mana, you're probably dead also. So I can't consciously run something that costs 9. Just doesn't seem like it's that good. Anyway, so this was a super, just all over the place deck tech, I would say. But that's how I run Deadwalkers, and I hope you have a blast with it. It's my new favorite mono black control pile ever. I mean, my new favorite mono black pile. And it's like aggro troll. It's like aggressive, and if that fails, then guess what? I got something on the top end. Anyway, so this video is long, so I'm going to cut it off here. Anyways, I hope you run this deck. And I hope you have a blast with it. I hope you have as much fun as I did. And I'll see you next video, guys. Later, homies.